back to another episode of Unsolved Mysteries and Makeup. This is the haunting and perplexing case of Joshua Maddux, also known as the boy in the chimney. Joshua was an 18-year-old young man from Woodland Park, Colorado. Known for his love of nature and adventure, Joshua was a bright and cheerful individual with a promising future. He was last seen on May 8, 2008, when he left his home telling his family he was going for a walk. That would be the last time they saw him. For months, the community searched tirelessly, but there were no leads, no clues, no answers. It wasn't until August 7th, 2015, 7 whole years after his disappearance, that a disturbing discovery was made. Chuck Murphy, the owner of an abandoned cabin located just 2 blocks from Joshua's home, was demolishing a structure when he stumbled upon a grisly find. Joshua's remains were inside the chimney. Joshua's body was found in the fetal position, with his legs above his head, suggesting he entered the chimney head first. The coroner ruled the death as accidental, theorizing that Joshua had attempted to enter the cabin through the chimney and became trapped, but some details raised more questions than answers, and we'll get into that. One of the most puzzling aspects of this case was the discovery of Joshua's clothes inside the cabin, neatly folded near the fireplace. This raised questions of how Joshua managed to fold his clothes and enter the chimney head first. There were no signs of struggle or forced entry, and the cabin had been abandoned for years, with the chimney capped off at the top, making it difficult for anyone to enter from above. The owner of the cabin did say that he did cap the top of the chimney himself, but he did not see that grate that he installed on the top. Maybe he believes that it rusted away or something happened to it, so it was accessible for him to enter the chimney from the top. But once again, this is 7 whole years later, so it's unknown when that cap actually rusted away or what happened to it, if it was removed. It is unknown exactly when that happened. Several theories have emerged regarding Joshua's death. The first theory is that it was an accident. Perhaps he was seeking shelter or adventure and he entered the cabin through the chimney and became stuck. And the second suggests foul play. Some believe Joshua was placed in the chimney by someone who was after him, someone who might have harmed him. And the third theory revolves around Joshua's mental health. Joshua had a history of mental health struggles, and some speculate that he entered the chimney during a crisis. I'm not sure about that last one. Based off of his positioning inside of the chimney, I'm not sure how he could have climbed up into the chimney. Here are some discrepancies that may spike your interest, that might make you think this wasn't an accident. When I read through all this, I'm very confused as to how they could make it an accident based off of what I'm about to tell you. So many locals, including the family, had issues with the coroner's report. Chuck questioned the coroner's conclusion of accidental death, as the chimney had been built 20 years before. During its construction, it was fitted with a thick wire mesh hung from the steel hook to keep animals and debris out. So how could he enter through the top, which we did speak about a little bit. It's possible that it corroded away, and he was unaware of that happening. But he says, it was a heavy wire grate, a wire mesh. I installed it across the chimney, about 1 row of bricks from the top. We didn't want trouble with raccoons and things getting into the chimney. Bourne thought the grate could have rusted or corroded, and as he states, nobody saw the metal mesh. We didn't see it in any of our photos. It just disappeared. Murphy responded to him and said all the metal work had been collected and taken for scraps during the demolition. This explains why the coroner did not identify the mesh, as it wasn't anywhere near the chimney. He, in a quote, they were just gathered up all the steel, angle, iron, and things as part of a demolition. He said they had no idea the mesh had any significance. So maybe, according to his quote, he's saying they did see it. They did not know that it had anything to do with the case, but that is weird. Conceding to Murphy, Bourne reopened the case, and 3 days after his initial conclusion, it was not only the rebar that caused the doubt about the original autopsy. For example, a large wooden breakfast bar had been torn from the wall in the kitchen and drug over to block the chimney from inside the cabin. That raised further suspicions. If the breakfast bar had been torn from the wall, then who had done it and why? Because obviously he didn't drag the breakfast bar to the entrance, the only entrance, and he climbed up the chimney, because like how would he be able to position it to where it could block his entrance, and why would he do that as well? As I said, his body was found in the fetal position. This means his legs were above his head. The autopsy showed that they were disjointed from his torso, which sounds like, how would you be able to do that yourself? He must have entered the chimney head first to get into this position. This was somewhat an unusual position, and Bourne had earlier commented that he thought it would have taken 2 people to get him into this position. I personally don't know how someone can put themselves in that position. Based off the photo I showed you earlier, in my opinion, seems like he fell from the top, or he was pushed through the top. Maybe the metal grate, it had already corroded or was corroded when his body hit it. And even stranger than the bar being moved to block his only entrance, he was only wearing a thermal shirt, meaning his entire bottom half of his body was completely nude. He had no clothes on his bottom half, and his clothes was neatly folded. So that's strange. I mean, they were neatly folded on the inside of the cabin. So the bar was blocking his only entrance, and then his clothes was also found next to the fireplace. So, I mean, it's not clear. So they're trying to say he went into the cabin, got undressed, put the bar on his only entrance, went back outside, climbed up onto the roof, and then went down the chimney. Or are they saying he got completely nude, folded his clothes, drugged the bar to his only entrance, and went up the chimney? Based off of how his body looked, I don't believe he entered through the actual fireplace. I think he fell down into the chimney. But let me know what you think. This one is weird. I mean, he was only wearing a thermal shirt at that point. It was basically May, and it was basically 20 degrees. So yeah, it's cold. So let me know what you think. This one's unexplainable, but I do believe something happened to him.